Hey, what's up guys? How's it going? It's me, Dakota Fishman, and today I'm going to tell you guys about a little known fact about trading resources in the game. Now, it's been done for I would say probably since this game's been out, right? And a lot of people out there right now have probably been wondering, if you're just new to the game, right? And you're like, how in God green's earth am I supposed to do 300 days worth of time on a research? Right? How am I, the farmer, the guy that's on the very bottom of the freaking pole here, supposed to get anywhere close to tier 4? Or, what about the guy that's I don't know, just trying to build troops? What am I supposed to do? I'm freaking out. I've done monster hunting quests and it's gone to hell. I've tried to do Phantom Knight and it's gone to hell. What do I do, Dakota? What do I do? And this is my answer, okay? This is my little known fact of the day that I can tell you for a fact works for me. It has been working for me for the longest goddamn time. And I've asked IGG and they've said, yeah, it's totally okay. And I'm like, all right, well, we're going to make a video about it then. Because what I'm going to tell you is kind of in what I consider a gray area. Okay, and I say this because there are two types of people out there. All right, there are those that sell resources for cash, which is a bannable offense. And then there are people that sell them for resources and speed ups. So what I recommend you do, right, is, as you can see in my account here, I've got 200 million across, right? I've got a lot of resources that I've got laying around. Now, you might wonder, okay, so if I'm somebody that's starting out, well, how am I supposed to do that, right? Well, you can see here, I've got a couple billion in my stash. I've always kept that. I don't pull from that, right? Because what you want to do is you want to have a really large stash for your own personal use, okay? But when you've got resources like a couple hundred mil, right? The way I've been doing it, all right, is I've had my girlfriend, One Princess, go out of her way to produce resources on her alternate accounts. And these accounts funnel resources to our banks, and we turn around and what we'll do is we'll go find some of the largest guilds in our kingdom or during Baron or during Chalice and offer to sell those resources in return for shields and speed ups. A very simple concept, and yet it works fantastic, okay? If you want to be able to get your research done, all right, it takes approximately a couple 100 million resources to be able to pull that off. Now, a kingdom like 181, for example, all right, there are literally these banks worth of resources where they've just got hundreds of millions laying around, okay? And it's super, super easy for me to go over and port and just steal it, right? And there's no problem. But a kingdom like K604, you might think, well, if I'm just starting out, Dakota, I'm going to get completely freaking obliterated by somebody that's like a couple 100 million might above me. And you're right to be worried, because in kingdoms like this, you really can't do that. Okay, but what you can do is you can farm and build up those resource stashes by taking the daily amount of resource production you make and send it to your alternate account, so that what you'll do eventually is have a stash. And you can then turn around and take that stash and sell the stash to build up your main account to either increase the resource production or to build up your ability to attack, so that eventually you can do what I do on a regular basis. Which is that now that I've got myself into a position where I'm big enough, people don't think soloing me is a good idea. Just because the core might of my account is so high, people go without thinking, not even, with an anti-scout. They go, yeah, I'm not going to solo that guy. That guy's probably got enough troops that he's going to kick my sorry ass. So what I've taken advantage of is now I go out looking for the farmers and the banks, and I go out looking for the people that have even 20 million resources out, and I just go out and solo that out and take all of it. And then what I do is I put it in an alternate account, or I keep it on my main account. I build up my resources, and then during Baron, Chalice, or even in my own kingdom, I'll just go around and ask, hey, are you looking for resources? Do you want, a couple 100 million? And what I'll do is I'll turn around and have those resources then sent off, because there are plenty of people in the game that have the gift feature that are willing to buy those resources from you in return by sending speed ups to an account. Obviously, if you're like 600 mil, there's very few people that can actually send them to you, because obviously the gifting feature only goes up to, basically they can't trade up. So if you're like 600 mil and they're 400 mil, they can't, they can't send you anything. So you can only send it to anyone below you as far as the gifting feature is concerned. So if you're starting out, that's kind of what I recommend you try doing. Because in my opinion, although I see a lot of people that complain, like, well, how was I supposed to progress in this game? It's like, that is really genuinely how I would do it. And I've been doing this since almost a year ago. I even taught a friend of mine how to do it, and he became stupidly wealthy in this game very quickly, and he didn't spend any money. And that's all he did, was he would go out, go find people that had money, people that had gems, and they funneled them into his account. And that's all he ever did. And he became wildly successful at it because he could essentially get anything he wanted in the gem shop. So, hey, I want 15 legendary jewel boxes. So he would, look at what the average cost would be, so for example, if somebody was saying, all right, 20 million gold for 1 day speed up is 1,500 gems, right? So he would factor in, okay, if that's 1,500, then you do 2 1 day speed ups and you've got 3,000, 2 more, and you've got 4 days worth of speed ups. That means you got to take 4 times 20 million to make 80 million gold, and therefore, okay, 80 million gold for 1 jewel chest. Right? And so he would go out and actually accumulate large swathing amounts of resources, and he would just turn around and sell that. And that's really what you do. If you're wanting to like build up your bags, I mean, I've seen people, what they'll do is they'll turn around and they'll trade, say, a couple 100 million of gold and then get somebody to trade them 160 million food packet for 28,000 gems. And then suddenly now they can just funnel their account full of resources because they've got it all on their account. And the same goes for speed ups. I mean, you can get a 30-day speed up for 40,000 gems. You can funnel your account with tons and tons and tons. Now, obviously, back in the day, right? It was a whole different thing back in the day. Like, there used to be a time when there was such a thing as tier 4 pushing, where people would literally, in an entire guild of 100 plus people, they would all have the top might players funnel all of their gems and collective resources into one account. And that account would then get built up. And this is part of why I think a lot of these accounts out there that people go like, why the hell does he have so many goddamn troops? Like, I can see where this is probably partly where it comes from. Because what they can do is they could have somebody funnel hundreds of 10,000 holy stars, and he could just spam and spam and spam all day long with holy stars in the elite labyrinth until eventually he wins. Or otherwise he's left off with really decent gear during certain events. And frankly, even now it's not even implausible for somebody to like get tokens and just spam tokens. Or, even bright talent orbs and brilliant talent orbs is no different. Like, a person can spam these and get their familiars done. They can spam these to get their VIP points done. I mean, there's really nothing else in the actual game that you can't get away with as far as anima is concerned. Like, if you understand this mechanic in the game and abuse it, where, like, I've seen a lot of people out there that, they have questions about it, like, well, I know some people that are spending money for this kind of stuff. And that's the gray area. That's where IGG steps in and says, no, that's not okay. You cannot do this. This is not allowed. You cannot, for example, you cannot take the resources you have and expect someone to give you $50 for it. Like, that's not okay. But you can also have somebody spend, a little over a couple $100 worth of gems on your account. They don't care. that part, they don't care. As far as they're concerned, it's part of the feature of the game. The gifting feature is there for a reason, and that's essentially what they've allowed it for. And so for that reason, the gray area is not there. Okay, but if that distinction has been made, then you should not really need to know more than that. Obviously, now you would probably think to yourself, well, how am I supposed to get anybody to reasonably do this? Well, that's where it really depends on the kingdom. Obviously, every kingdom's different. If you're in a newer kingdom, chances are there's probably not people running around with hundreds of thousands of gems. But in a lot of the older kingdoms, and that's, migration not restricted kingdoms, okay? If you're in some of the super billion might guild kingdoms, those guilds tend to buy resources. Because the only way for them to continue fighting like they do is they have to have a steady stream of that coming in from somewhere. And so a lot of the people in the game, I feel like a lot of you out there, you can benefit from this opportunity. It's an opportunity that I feel like a lot more people out there can capitalize on. And with any luck, hopefully I've helped you out. Because I can tell you for a fact that if you're doing Guildfest right now and you're struggling, right, and you really need the speed ups to get your research done, or you need the speed ups, this is what I recommend you do. And even if, let's say, you've got a couple billion in bags, I mean, for some people, I know some people that are just like loaded, like they've got billions of food in their freaking like that. I've seen people like that, and those people, in my opinion, you can live with like a couple billion. You could sell off like 2 or 3 billion, and then you basically get away with building your account that way, because you can take those resources that you're not using and give them to someone else, and it's a fair exchange, right? But every kingdom in terms of trade is different, right? And I brought up 20 million gold, and I'm sure some kingdoms out there are going to go, well, that's too low, or some kingdoms might go, hey, that's too high. That's because the ratio set for trading resources is not a global phenomena. There is no one group of people that dictates how much resources is worth what when it comes to gem trading. So it's something that a lot of the time you have to negotiate with, and you have to kind of discuss it with your guildmates or with your members or even with other guilds. It's a very common thing that you have to do, and a lot of the time it's a mutual beneficial thing. Now, the one thing that is a gray area, which comes to trading resources and stuff of that nature, is whether or not who goes first. And this is where a lot of people often either get scammed, in my opinion, or they just find themselves in a shitty situation in which either A, party one, gives the gems first and then doesn't get his resources, or B, person B gives all his resources but doesn't get his speeds. And so I will say from experience that if you want to avoid that situation, you don't want to do it one for all or one for other if you don't trust them, okay? Like, if you do it by milestone, like, hey, I will give you 10 million of whatever minimum it is for 1 day speed up, then you trade it. Okay, then we'll do it at the next step and the next step until eventually both parties are mutually trusting of one another, and then you can go, oh, okay, do you want to do the rest? And then I'll give you the rest. And but that again is kind of the concept of how you want to go about doing that. And that's how you'll save your ass, at least if you're trying to do anything like I'm suggesting. Okay, but this is what I would recommend you do if you are trying to build your account. And it's something that is very often not talked about in this game, but I feel like it's worth pointing out. I feel like this is a video that it should have been out a long ass time ago, and yet I've yet to see anybody out there actually do it. Nobody really talks about it, but it's been happening in this game since the day it launched. And I don't know if it's, if IGG is going to step in and be like, oh, hey, that's wrong, and you're wrong for telling people how to do this, but like genuinely, until they can tell me otherwise, I don't see anything wrong with telling you guys now. So, having that said, I do hope that you guys are finding these videos somewhat helpful. I'm a little bit all over the place with them, I know, but hopefully you'll learn a thing or two from me as I go along and make more videos, because I know I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm not doing not a lot of fighting, and that's because I really want to get back to the grassroots of what this channel is all about, which is just tutorials. I'm here to help you guys. That's all I do. So I hope it's helpful, and well, needless to say, I'll see you guys next time.